over to you then.
Thanks, Jo. And I just want to also say how impressed I've been with everyone as well. And I just can't pick who's actually going to promote first. It's like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I can't quite decide who it's going to be. I think it's really exciting. We're getting to that sort of end of the program where there's big action taking place, and it's just so fantastic to see. Hi, Cass. How you going? Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Okay, let's get started. So I jumped on the Facebook group yesterday, I think it was, to let you guys know that I just put together a cracker of a module. I planned these modules out well before we started, and not knowing sort of when you guys were going to start recruiting within the program, how soon, but you guys have really exceeded my expectations for like how quickly you're getting going. So as a result, the programs had to be modified quite dramatically, now, which is really great. So I've sort of split tonight's module into two. I've sort of split the first into a bit of revision, and really also into a bit of the, digging deep into the pocket of what should be occurring during your business meetings, because I still think that every month that's something that you're going to be doing regardless of whether you've recruited 2 people or 200 people. So I think really going through that's really important. But then the last little part of it is about setting up your team culture. And this is what we were talking about last week with really, now that you guys have a couple of people each recruited, I think that it's really important that we really start talking about what you're doing with your people so that you're maximizing what they're going to be doing. And, you guys are building big businesses as well, so you want them to be doing what you need them to be doing. So we're going to do a bit of both tonight, but next week, module 6 is the big cracker one that I put together on exactly what I think you guys should be doing, on a daily basis and a weekly basis to help to motivate your team and incentivize your team, and to train them to do basically to be what you are, which is a term that we call duplication. So it's next week's going to be really, really in depth in terms of the how-tos and what to do and when to do it and that sort of thing. And tonight's really going to be a bit of a lead in so that we can get some things in place so that you are ready to start that next week. So there are some things to do at this point before we get to there. And I like to sort of unpack information in quite a sequential manner. So we might do a little bit of revision first up, but we'll move straight on, I promise. So I always flick that up at the beginning. I've changed some things around. You can see that we're doing coaching your team next week now rather than the leadership style. We'll get to that a bit later. And I also like to put this up as well. I changed that to your business is wearing floaties. I thought that was really cute. 2 consultants a month, your business is growing. 4 new consultants a month, which is what we're all working towards. You're going to achieve your goals. And your business is going to be successful if the people that you recruit are doing exactly what you need them to be, which is what we're getting to in the next couple of modules. So I just want to revise on business opportunity meetings. Hopefully everyone's got their little printout. Please tell me it got through. Yes. Okay, great. Thanks, Beck. So jot these things down on there. Bit of revision, but your business opportunity meetings, you really need to schedule ahead of time. And it's something that I feel a lot of people do sort of on a bit of a whim, where they go, okay, I've got someone interested. Maybe I could make some time on Thursday. Oh, no, I've got to pick the kids up that day. It's going to have to be Friday. And then what happens is you sort of get really quite jumbled in when you're clearly able to meet with people and when you're not. So it's really, really important. And I know I harp on this, but make sure that you've got a couple of meetings a week, even if it's, you might have one in-person available time and then one phone available time, so that you sort of can mix it up a little bit, so that you can actually make sure that you can tell people very clearly when you're available to meet with them about the business opportunity. When you're doing these meetings, the majority of it really should be in person or on the phone. I feel when people are going to hand over money to invest in a business opportunity, they really want to spend that quality time with you to really understand what this is all about and what their commitment would need to be, and to ask the questions that they need to ask. So it's something that I feel right at the beginning can't be done over text, and really shouldn't be done over email unless you're just flicking them a brochure or something like that just for some additional information. I think the majority of that communication should really be done in a situation where you guys can go back and forth quite freely, without the issue of manner and tone and all that sort of thing in a text and an email. And you can really, get to hone in on people's pain points and pleasure points and that sort of thing far better when you're actually speaking to them in person rather than texting. And when someone's interested, don't delay. If they go, you know what, I'm really interested in the opportunity, or I'd like to hear more about that, don't say, well, look, later in the week I'll have a chance to flick you something. Make sure that you flick it to them straight away. Make sure that you're onto them straight away, because when people are feeling enthusiastic about what they're looking at doing, that's the time to be capturing them and spreading that net and really acting quickly. Not so quickly that you're like one of those, annoying, boyfriends that just keeps hassling you or something like that, but just enough that you know that they're enthusiastic. You really want to net them in at that point. You don't want to wait a week where they've had a chance to talk to other people and they hear a million objections from everybody else before they even know what their own objections are. So it is important to get in quickly. And you can say to them, look, let's get together and have a chat about the business, but I really do recommend that you do start referring to them as business opportunities and a business opportunity meeting right from the start, because it really sets the tone for what the opportunity is all about. And yes, people do join the business because they want a hobby and they want to get out of the house and do things. But the people that really do see it as a business right from the beginning are the people that are going to be very successful and then make you very successful as well. So this is a bit of revision as well. We've talked about this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. The initial meeting is when you're really going to be finding people, at the park while your kids are playing, or at your party when you're doing things, and they're going to be having little conversations with you. And this is a bit of a recap, but we use that initial meeting to be able to tell your story about why you're in business, your personal story, to talk about the opportunity and all the fabulous opportunities that PASH give you to be able to do what you do. Things like, look, when my kids are sick, I can stay at home with them. It doesn't affect my income. This is what's happening. Or PASH rewarded me for getting an extra party this week and they sent me this. So it's a really great opportunity to talk about the business itself. You can use it to identify their pain points and hot buttons, which, as we know, because I've talked to Love in Blue, is about, that's how you identify how you're going to bring them into the business. We obviously use that to approach the person to offer the opportunity to, and we use to connect to set a date for a business meeting. So that's when at the end of that conversation, like, you know what, I'm free next Tuesday, let's get together and let's have a talk about how we can make this work for you. So the initial meeting is quite powerful. It's where all the inspiration and all the enthusiasm occurs for how you're going to get them excited about the opportunity. So, and this is something, even though this is revision, this is something that you guys are going to do every single week in your business. So nailing this is just so crucial, because it's the way to get people onto your team, which is what we want. So I want to just talk in detail a little bit about the first business meeting. I'm going to talk about the 2 business meetings tonight. Sometimes, look, it can go on to 3 or 4 depending on the person. But I really feel that there are 2 main business meetings that occur when you're talking to prospective consultants. So the first meeting should really be when you guys get together in person, hopefully, if that's possible, and really have a chat about her. This has to be all about her. It has to be her opportunity to share everything that she can about what she's excited about the business, and also what her concerns are. And the more objections that she has, the more exciting that should be for you, because you really get to understand exactly what it is that she's going to be concerned about when she joins the business, which gives you a heads up. It gives you a head start, because you already know how to support her when she's talking to you about, I know nothing about adult toys. I know nothing. I can't really stand up and talk in front of people. I don't know if I could travel that far. When you get these objections, they're like little heads up all the time, the little heads popping out of the ground, because you will understand not only what the concerns are, but also how to support her in your ongoing training, which is really important. You might find that, let's call her Mary, that Mary really has a fear of talking in front of people. That is something very specific that you'll be able to help her with, train her in, and give her opportunities to succeed in as you're training her, that you might not have to give to other people in your team. And if you can overcome that objection for her and really show that support for her, that's where there's going to be a really big win for her and for your business, because it's a bit of a ricochet effect. So, really important for this to be all about her, and for all of that to come onto the table so that you can deal with that. You want to also understand her routines and commitments. So, you know, if you understand that she works 9 to 5 and has a 2-hour commute every single day and has 3 children, this is going to really help you understand what kind of support she's going to need to be able to run her business, or even what kind of business she really aspires to have. You know, she might decide that she wants to really get out of that 9 to 5. She doesn't want to do that commute anymore. So listening to what she has to say and really understanding where she's coming from and what her vision is so valuable. You want to begin to plan with her how you're going to support her in her business and to get her on track for success, which is all of the things that I just talked about. Everything that she mentions gives you little clues and little heads up on how you're actually going to help her to reach her goals, which is fantastic. No one comes into the business if they feel they're going to be unsupported. And it's really important that, and we're going to talk about this in a bit of detail next week, that there's head office support, there's head office training, there's all of those things. But it's also crucial that you guys understand that you're having to bring 50% of that to the table as well, in terms of how you're going to train your girls and how you're going to support your girls as well. So we will talk about that in a bit more detail next week. So it's a way to start mapping out what you'll be able to do for her. And you want to be able to arrange to meet again, which is, of course, when she's going to take away all that enthusiasm and all that excitement from this business meeting, and she's going to get together some questions, and you're going to meet again to hopefully get her signed up into your team, which is what we really want. So this is where we sort of get them in between communication. It might be a week, or it might be 2 weeks, or it might be hopefully 3 weeks, but no longer, in between your first and your second business meeting. So you're going to find that there's going to be a little bit of back and forth between these 2 meetings. And this is where a lot of information normally comes out. These are your little heads up moments as well. She's going to go away. She's going to talk to her friends. She's going to talk to her partner. She's going to have a really big think about it. She's going to think about her work situations, and she's going to have questions. So it's really important that you allow her that communication with you. And often this is okay to be done by email or text or a quick phone call, because it's sort of more just checking in, incidental sort of stuff. But as I've just put here some bits and pieces, these are going to be questions about training, about how much it's going to cost or her outlay, or she might have questions about how much is expected to sell. Like, is there a minimum every month? Like, what do I have to maintain? Or is there a certain amount of product that I have to buy to be able to qualify to stay as a consultant? Because you don't know also what information that they've brought in from other companies, or they might know people who've worked for other companies, and they may not fully understand how PASH works. So this is an opportunity for her to ask those questions. She's going to have questions about product. She's going to have questions about how to get started in those first 4 weeks, because, you know, when people start, they really want to succeed. And they're all sort of peace of mind based questions. So there'll be some little incidentals that, you know, she'll pull you in and ask questions about, which I think is really great. If she's asking these questions, she's really thinking it through. And it's a great opportunity for you to be able to map out exactly what her needs are. So hopefully we get from this point and we transition into the second business meeting, which I think is crunch time. This is where, okay, she's asked her questions, she's raised her objectives, you've answered, you've shown how you're going to support her, you've talked to her about what the possibilities are, and you really want to have your paperwork with you at that point. You want everything printed out, ready to give her, spruce it up, put it in a beautiful pink folder with some, you know, sparklies on it, or whatever it is, have a free gift to go with it. You know, you really want to incentivize at this point. You know, sometimes people come to that second business meeting and they're still slightly on the fence. You know, so it's really important to be able to sell it even more at this point, because, you know that it's such an amazing opportunity. They don't know until they're there. So it's really important that we still try and make it as appealing as we can. You know, you want to be able to complete as much of that paperwork in person as you can, because there's nothing like sitting there talking through it and being positive and enthusiastic and telling your story again while she fills that paperwork out. It's very powerful. Usually if she walks away with it, you'll have to chase her for that paperwork back. You want to be able to send the paperwork away by yourself if possible. This was a personal preference of mine. I found that if I sat at a cafe, we had a coffee, which I would always shout, by the way, because that's professional. And it shows that, you know, you can afford it because you have an amazing business. I liked to get that paperwork back on the spot, and I liked to make sure that everything was hunky-dory and I would actually forward that to head office myself once it was complete. That just gave me peace of mind that I knew that everything was going through and that I was in control of that process. It depends on your person, of course. There are some people who like to do that themselves. So you'll just have to see, you know, who it is and what she'd prefer. At this point, now this is something we're going to go into detail about next week about training. You want to put together a bit of a training schedule for your consultant. So once you've got that paperwork, you actually want to be booking in a time to meet with her, like within the next 7 days, because, you know, your paperwork's going to go through this afternoon. That means your kit's going to be hopefully on its way by tomorrow or the following day. And we want to actually set in some time to get some training started, because you want her to be off to the best start that she can get. And you want to also, at that point, before you let her leave, is to really begin by brainstorming at least 8 people that she can approach to help her launch her business and to host parties for her. Now, we ask that you try and get 4 people to host a party in your first month, but if she approaches 8 people in her first month, she will likely get 4 to 6 people. And the best time for people to start to get their friends and family in to support them is in that first 4 weeks of business, because everyone wants to see their family and friends succeed at something. So this is a really exciting time for her to try and work with 8 people to try and get a booking and hopefully get around 4 to 6 parties out of it. And that way, when you guys start your training with her, you're already ahead of the game. You're actually already talking about parties that exist within the system. You're talking about real people and their situations and their groups of friends and their families. So it makes your training so much easier. There's nothing worse than sitting down to do training with a consultant once her kid arrives and she's like, well, I haven't booked anyone in for a party. That's hard work. That's really, really hard. So you really want to start that process before the kid comes, and to really get her excited about the opportunity and what she's going to make from it, which is great. I really love, Nakia, when you said before that you went to your new consultant, you brought her along to a party. I think that's so fantastic. And that's really where you get to do a fair bit of training on the job, which is fantastic. It often doesn't happen that it can happen. I once drove 3 hours to do a consultant's launch party. I think she sold like $50 worth of product, and Tim and I were so out of pocket. It was unbelievable. But she went on to be quite successful, which is really great, because I was there to help her through that. And I think that if possible, that's really what you guys should be doing, is making sure that they can come to a party with you within their first 4 to 6 weeks, which is great. And again, we'll talk about that more next week. Look, you can go through all of this and sometimes the answer will still be no. It's devastating. Don't get hung up on it. It is, at first, it can be quite like, oh, I've just put so much time into this person, or I really thought she was and she's changed her mind. But, you know, that's a woman's prerogative, isn't it? And, you know, you just think, who's next? Who am I meeting with next? And that's why having those business opportunity meetings available is so important. So making sure that you're following up is really key. If you've talked to someone today and she's given you an excuse, or she's not quite sure if she wants to go ahead, just say to her, do you know what? Have a think about it. You know, if you've got any questions, let me know. I'll contact you in 4 weeks. But it's the actual follow-up that will make the difference for you, rather than sitting back and waiting for her to get back to you. Because sometimes people, as we know, we get busy and people contact us and we go, oh, I meant to call you. I'm so sorry. So, you know, we all understand what it's like to get busy and overwhelmed. So the follow-up is so important. You want to make sure, and we've talked about this as well, that you've got a bit of a tracking sheet where you've got the person's name at the top, and then every date that you've contacted them and what you briefly spoke about. I promise you, I know it's a lot of work, but you will just thank yourself so much when someone contacts you 6 months later out of the blue and says, hey, we spoke about 6 months ago. I wasn't ready then, but I'm ready now. And you can pull out her file and go, yeah, that's right. And how are your 3 kids? And you've got stuff to go on that really helps to build that relationship really quickly early on in the stages. A no often means not now. And like I just said, some people might come back to you 6 months later and be ready, and you'd completely forgotten about them. So it is really important to make sure that you keep in touch with people, you know, even if it is on a couple of monthly basis or something like that. And make sure that if they really are a firm no, they're definitely never going to come back to you. Make sure that you offer for them to have a party. Make sure that they know that they're still a valued customer of yours, and, you know, you can hopefully get some sales rather than them joining your team. There's a possibility for everyone. So that's the main thing. which brings us to the team culture. And this is the footwork for what I want to talk about next week. And next week's really going to be jam-packed with the how-to stuff and, you know, what you guys should be doing straight away. But I really want you to have a think about what kind of culture that you want to create within your team. I know I spoke to a couple of you on your one-on-one calls last week about this, about setting up a really positive team culture right from the beginning. There were times when I would host, you know, team training, and the first half an hour was always filled with whinging and carrying on and all the things that were going wrong in their business. And I thought to myself, well, what if I changed that and I actually made a no negative rule and everything that we said had to be positive? And when I started to implement that, the mindset of the entire team changed. People were suddenly talking more about the success that they'd had and encouraging each other to do better with sales and encouraging each other to book more and encouraging each other by sharing stories about games that they'd played and funny anecdotes and things that they'd been able to do at their parties that was really awesome and cool and different. And it changed the entire culture of my team. So I think for you guys, you know, I learned that about 25 people in. But if you guys are learning that within the first 5 consultants, I think this is a really great starting place for you guys to develop an excellent team culture where everything's positive right from the get-go. And when you guys are talking within a group, it should always be positive. And you'll find also when we do our group coaching, which will be tomorrow night, I facilitate positive conversation. I don't facilitate negative conversation because it doesn't work. It serves no purpose and it gets everybody down. So we facilitate positive talk. I think you guys need to get together, and a couple of you have done this already, which is fabulous, a Facebook group. Even if you've only recruited one person, get the little group together. If you want to put me into the group, if you want to put Joe into the group, if you want to put us both into the group, that's great. It's just, it's more, if you see it like a space where you can come together, where you guys don't have to all be on the same phone call at the same time, because we know that people's schedules are different. You know, but it's really important within that group that you set up those really clear boundaries about your team culture. I talked with Morgan about this at length last week, about how, you know, you set the tone for what you want to occur in your group, in your Facebook group, and what you don't want to see in your group as well. You might, if you want to have a look at my Mums in Business Success and Support group, if you just type in Mums in Business Success and Support, you can have a look. I've actually got a theme day for different days of the week. So on Mondays, everyone shares their goals, and on Wednesdays, we all have a bit of a midweek family rant about our work-life juggle, you know, issues. You know, on Fridays, we talk about our home and how things are going at home in terms of cleaning routines. So you can actually set specific topics for different days if you wish. That's completely up to you. It depends what sort of thing you want happening in your team, in your group. You want to set up a list in your MailChimp, or if you're using a different, I know, Nakia, you think MailChimp hates you. It's not personal. It's not personal, I promise. But whatever you're using, make sure that you've got a little list set up just for your group. Even in my Hotmail account, I've got the Aspiring Managers group. I literally just type in Aspiring Managers and the email goes out to everybody. It's so easy. So that you can, you know, use that list. You can email out incentives and email out promotions and email out any documents that you need to your team, you know, to help them with their business, because that's what you're there to do. You want to, as I said, communicate, maintain and promote positive relationships. And you want to be able to allow your team to celebrate success with each other every single day. And the more celebrations there are around success, the better your team becomes in terms of their need and their want to succeed. They feel so inspired by each other when they're celebrating success. You know, nothing more uplifting than women uplifting other women. I think it's so powerful. So you've got a really great opportunity there. And you want to also, as I said earlier, attend parties with your consultants if it's possible, so that you're actually physically in your team, you're present within your team, and you're really showing your support. So I'm going to flick shortly to the things I'd like you to do for the coursework this week, and some of them will be about this team culture, because next week when we start with the what to do, how to do, when to do, I really want all of this set up straight away so that you guys can get off the webinar and go straight away and set some things up, which is really great. And we're going to talk at length about duplication next week. Jo mentioned it earlier at the beginning of our conversation. And I just wanted to put a bit of a taster out there so that you guys can start this straight away tonight when you get off the call. Duplication basically is about teaching your consultants to do what you do straight away. And that is to book parties, to sell product, and more importantly, to sponsor consultants. Because if you can actually teach your consultants to do exactly what you're doing, and then they teach their consultants to do exactly what they're doing, and so on and so forth, can you imagine how quickly that business bush is going to grow? It's going to be really thick. It's going to be quite, you're going to have downline after downline after downline. And that's what we want. And you imagine you at the top of that bush, you've created all of that, and all of that success and all of that money filters back up to you. So duplication is so important. But the first thing you've got to do to be able to be duplicatable, that's a big word, is to overhaul your organizations, your systems, and your routines. When you know exactly what it is that you have to do, it's very easy to teach your downlines. And then you teach them to teach that to their downlines, and so on and so forth. You need to be really consistent with how many parties that you're running a month and how many people you're sponsoring a month, because you're the pace setter. And, as does the leader, that's the sort of mentality. No one's going to want to do more than you're going to do. So if you're going to be consistently doing, 2 parties a month, why would anyone really want to strive to do 4? So it's really important that you guys, set the pace and be very consistent. I know sometimes we fall short or we exceed, which is great. But, it's really important that you guys set the pace really consistently, because that's what you want to be able to teach your downlines to do, and therefore they teach their downlines to do. So you can see that there's quite a bit of power in the whole training and coaching your team, and, really nailing down solidly what you guys are doing within your own business, so that others will follow your lead. Can you imagine if you had 10 downline ones all doing 4 parties a month and all sponsoring 2 consultants a month? And then downline 1 has got 20 downline 2s all doing 4 parties a month and all sponsoring 2 consultants a month, and so on and so forth. Like, how massive is that? That's huge. But so achievable when you train them that this is what we do straight from the first week, which is great. So we'll talk about this more next week, but we're going to get all that systems and routines in place. So that brings me to the coursework. If you haven't set up your Facebook group, please do. If you haven't set up your team MailChimp list, please do. And this is a different list to your customer list. We don't want, here's your incentive for selling the WeBuy this week to all of your customers, because that's not relevant. You want your own team list within MailChimp. I want you to create 3 statements of expectations for your teams. It might be really simple as, be involved, be positive, celebrate your success. It could be 3 really simple things. And I want you to share those statements with us in the Facebook group. I'll be putting a little shout out to make sure that everyone's putting what their expectations are. Try not to go more than 4. If you're going to go 4, you guys know what it's like to try and meet expectations. If there are too many, it's just too hard. But if you make 3 really clear, very simple statements of expectations for how they're going to interact as a team, I think that that's really positive and very powerful. And of course, we want you to approach 4 new leads this week, whether they be from parties or your hot leads or anything like that. And we want you to hold 2 business meetings, because we want you guys to bring it in this month. There's still another week left. It's exciting. Someone could promote by the 1st of December. Seriously, we're that close. We're that close. I wonder who it's going to be. I don't know. That's it for me, guys.
That's great. Thanks. Tash, has anyone got anything they want to ask questions about, anything they want clarified, or any exciting news they want to throw into the mix? No? All good? Got your big call tomorrow, so all good. All right, my darlings, well, we'll leave it there. I think everyone's had such a big weekend. They probably need to recuperate and store that energy back up. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing all your exciting updates. Make sure you keep us updated on your successes. It's really, really important that you celebrate your wins. I think we so often really focus on the difficult stuff. We do that throughout life. We all do it to a certain extent. So it's really, really important that we celebrate our wins. Doesn't matter how small it is. It could be a matter of you've been meaning for ages to create your team name and you've just got around to it, or you spoke to 4 people. Celebrate your wins. Let us encourage and support you on this journey. Each of those little steps is one step closer to helping you realize your dreams and your goals. So we want to be here to help celebrate it. If you've got any questions, or you're struggling with something like your Facebook group, or setting stuff up, again, let us know. Tash is pretty good at the Facebook group, setting up stuff, and anything you need, just let us know. We're here to help you. Send it through, give us a call. All right, so we don't want to have the opportunities pipped by just some things which may seem insurmountable, but actually can be fixed really quickly. So let's celebrate our wins. Let's help you with your challenges, and let's together really create great businesses for everyone.
Hey, Jo.
So yes, my darling.
We're all really close to promoting to manager. I'm just wondering if you have anything special for the first person that promotes.
Yes, I do. I have a very special gift for our first promoting manager. So yes, I do.
Or, is it going to help us work a little bit harder to get there?
All right, well, I'll post something. I'll do something spiffy for you tomorrow. So check out the Facebook group tomorrow, and let's see if you're going to be inspired.
Okay, good.
You will be.
Cool.
You will be. So I'll post that up there. Yeah, come on. The first one to promote out will definitely get a special gift. But if you could, your goal was to promote by the end of the year. So if you're not the first one, don't get disheartened, because I'm going to reward all of you. There's some special incentives around anyway at the moment. So if you reach your goal, then of course we're going to celebrate that. I'll do my little victory dance, but then you'll actually get something worthwhile as well.
Flies to Sydney.
Yeah, well,
we can come down to HQ and have a look and have some fun, and then fly us back to wherever we live.
Well, to be honest, those sorts of things in the future, once you've actually got your teams working and doing something, absolutely, we will. And we've done it in the past, haven't we, Tash? Where we had our
done it twice, actually. Yeah.
Exactly. So absolutely, that is definitely on the cards. We need to. That's first step is actually becoming manager, and then it doesn't stop there. Of course, we're going to continue to incentivize and continue to motivate through providing incentives and rewards, and certainly travel is one of those really important things. So yeah, for sure.
On that note, Jo's talking about head office incentivizing you guys as managers. Next week, we're actually going to be talking about how you guys can incentivize your team and reward your team. So this is it's a ricochet effect. It's very powerful. And you guys know, because you guys are getting excited now about the possibility of being incentivized and rewarded, how positive that can be for your team as well. It's huge. And I also wanted to just remind everyone that we've got our group coaching call tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. New South Wales time, 7:30 p.m. if you're in Queensland. So we'll be talking about how we're going with all this stuff and talking about team expectations. So make sure that you're having a think about that between now and then as well. And that's it. I'm done.
I don't have a one-on-one with you tonight, do I, Jo? Tash?
No, that was last week. But if you do want to reschedule it, you just email me and we'll set a time. I was waiting to hear from you.
Yeah, I'll get to that tonight. I'm going to try and sit down on the computer and get emails out.
Yeah, we'll work out something. That's fine.
As soon as I get my furniture back in order, I'll get that done.
Yeah, Beck, I want you to do it, Beck, because you are so close to promoting, and all the additional incentive and structure and guidance you can get, it's going to help you get there. So come on, let's get going.
I think I've still got 3 girls to go. So
yeah, well, they can all go in a really short space of time, let me tell you. So anyway, we're getting there. You're getting there, babe. You are.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, bye, everyone. Thanks, everyone.